It's time for a cup of coffee with Will and Chris at Slumberland Furniture. From Slumberland Furniture in Osage Beach, here are your hosts, William Holtz and Chris Schneider.
Welcome to A Cup of Coffee with Wild Will and Uncle Chris.
That's right. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas indeed. It's our Christmas rendition of A Cup of Coffee from Slumberland at the Lake, 151 episodes. And on this week's show, we're going to have Leah Martin in to talk to us about the Shootout. Of course, she's the executive director. We told you last week the Shootout actually has taken over Lake Race, Lotto Power Fest. Lots of questions. Chris, what does that mean? Where's it going to be? When's it going to take place? And how does that affect the Shootout?
Going to be very interesting. You know, that race, Lake Race, has always struggled. You know, it's kind of been the poor stepchild of the Shootout. And now that the Shootout is running it's going to be interesting to see what it turns into.
Yeah, a lot of potential there. So we're going to have the opportunity here in just a minute to talk with Leah Martin. She'll tell us about that. Plus, local headlines. Listen, a prisoner transport vehicle got into an accident with 7 individuals getting injured. We have an update on the casino potentially. You've got the Osage River Gaming Commission or Gaming Convention, but you've also got the Osage Nation. And so both casinos, none of them are moving forward yet, but we might have an update as the city of Lake Ozark tends to give one of them their endorsement.
Yeah, and we were doing a story a while back. The city of Lake Ozark would not give their endorsement. Well, they have given their endorsement to one of those two now.
Very good. That, we got some local sports rundowns. We'll tell you about the lights around the lake one last time this Christmas season. Those go through early January. And most of all, we're just going to get you warm, comfy, and cozy for this Christmas season. And on the other side of the break, like I said, we have Leah Martin. But first, I want to give a shout out to Slumberland at the Lake. This is their annual Homes for the Holidays program. They delivered throughout the week, and over 100 mattresses were distributed across the lake area to kids who might have been sleeping in a bed or on the floor on a couch, sharing a bed with a sibling. And they got to deliver those mattresses, which is super, super cool for the holiday season. There's some real happy individuals. And as we look forward past Christmas season, the sales all year round, a portion of their sales, go to giving out mattresses throughout the year. And so a cool sale to pay attention to. Slumberland's got a really neat end of year clearance blowout, man. I was walking through the store this morning, Chris, and I was like, we spent obviously our Christmas money, right? Like, you know, looking at some of these blowouts here in store, they're getting stuff out of the warehouse that's been there and it's on closeout. So now's the time to stop in at Slumberland. And before we have Leah in, let's hear from our good friend, Daryl Cunningham.
Hey everybody, Daryl Cunningham with Slumberland Furniture at the Lake. I want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas. Hope you have a blessed time spending it with family and friends. For Christmas here at the store, we're going to be off Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, but other than that, we'll have normal hours. If you have family coming in for the holidays and you need that last piece of furniture, come see us. Or maybe if you got some cash for Christmas and you want to take care of it, we can sure help you with that. Come see us, Slumberland Furniture, where we're bringing happy home.
As promised, it's Leah Martin, the executive director with the Lake of the Ozarks Shootout. I got to say, love your festive nature.
You told me to be festive today. I understood the assignment well.
You did great. Listen, I got the green and red. You got the red. We're rocking it. But all right, enough about festiveness. I don't even think you've slept the last year and a half or two. Huge record-setting Shootout. Want to congratulate you on that first. But second, new executive director for Lambda. I mean, you have been busy.
Yeah, I'm a busy girl. I like it. I like to stay busy. So, and I love the lake and the water and the boating, and so it just kind of all works together well.
And if it weren't enough big news and change and records set, then we find out here recently, just a couple weeks ago, that your organization, the Shootout Growing, has actually acquired Lotto Power Fest or Lake Race. How did this all come to fruition? You got to tell us.
Yeah, no, we're so excited about that announcement. Last year during the races, some of the racers just reached out and said, hey, we'd love to talk to you about race opportunities. And so we've been working with that board, and they've done a great job establishing the race. And, just would love to be able to put our Shootout twist on it and kind of take it to the next level, ensuring that we're on the national race schedule for this year. So there's a lot of changes coming up this year for the race to make it better. And, I've talked to a lot of the racers, and they gave me 5 things that they're looking for, and I plan to check the boxes on all 5 things. So
that's super.
Yeah, it's going to be a freaking amazing race.
And so it's effective immediately. It's your guys. You guys are probably already working on. Now, when you say that it operates, I saw in the press release, under the authority of the Shootout Board of Directors, so will Lake Race continue to keep their own board and operate as themselves, or will it kind of be something that you're heavily involved in?
Yeah, no, so they are a separate organization. So Lake Race will move forward under the Shootout organization. They will close that organization down as, they take a year-end tax reports and all those things, and that board will not exist. And any of those guys who are on the board will come over to the planning committee for Lake Race. And so, I talked to Tom last night, and I mean, we're working together, and
Super.
It's good, yeah.
That's one constant I always know. Our involvement's been big, it's been small with Lake Race over the years, but one constant's always Tom Abbott, and selflessly runs that. And of course, your guys' street party for so many years. So that's great to have that relationship. I want to talk about the weekend that it's going to take place. If you guys have pinned down a date, I saw that maybe the weekend following Memorial Day, like it normally has been. So touch on the date.
Yep. So traditionally, right now, it's always the weekend after Memorial Day, and we'd like to build on that week. So come to the lake for Memorial Day weekend, and we're going to have a boat parade. So kind of like in Key West, on Duval Street, the boats come and have a boat parade, and then they stop and set the streets down and have a party that night. So we're going to do the same thing during that week. So we're going to give them opportunities. We have treasure hunt already that weekend for the shootout, and so we're looking at filling their, come in Memorial Day, hang on the water, and then Wednesday through Sunday, I'm going to give you events to attend.
That's
so
awesome.
It's going to be great.
One thing I wanted to touch on, over the years, I know Lake Race always had the idea. They wanted to be a charity event. They kind of promoted themselves as being like Shootout Light, but in reality, they didn't make the same level of contribution. So we see that change where Lake Race is now funding the charitable side of the lake community?
Yes, it'll function under the same model the Shootout does, is all the money that'll come in and that's raised, and I'm working with, sanctioning bodies to ensure that. And so the Shootout has a little bit different leveraging power than some of the other events within the racing world, being the biggest performance boating event. And so
in the world now, correct?
In the world now, yeah, according to UIM and APBA. So that's crazy.
The two that matter the most, right?
Right. Yeah. So we're I'm hoping to get that event to where we're raising $250,000 for charities. Opening the lake and then closing the boating season with $750 from Shootout, and then the performance boating community is giving back $1 million every year to the lake area charities. So that's huge. That's the goal.
That's big. Now, okay, so I see in here that you guys are going to actually combine the Lake Race Guide and the Shootout Guide. It's going to evolve into like a single summer racing guide with 10,000 copies, which is a big increase from previous. So just touch on the guide, because I know there's a lot of people that love that, and knowing it's going to be kind of a summer boating issue, probably a lot of excitement behind that.
Yeah, so we brought on Christy Wagner as our editor this year, and she's just turning that into an amazing thing. It'll cover both races and be very heavily content focused. And so we sit down and planned last week all of the list of event, the things that we want to cover in the racer profiles. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a Shootout staff roast story this year, so
great.
that's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be interactive. She really wants to kind of change it up. If you go into the restaurants, they have those, they have the boating guides there, and so we're going to have some Shootout fun facts, like stories and true and false things, and word searches and stuff into it. So it's really just going to be a fun guide this year, and she's an amazing editor, and a great writer, and so it'll be good.
Okay, so I know that this is one of many, many big announcements, maybe new mini events. There'll be media coverage that you guys announce and so much stuff. And so for someone who's out there watching right now and they're like, man, I can't wait to hear what's next, or I want to stay in the know. I know you guys have a newsletter, a great Facebook page, a great website. So plug how the person out there who says, I want to know everything about the Shootout year-round, the best way they can do that.
Yeah, so go to www.lakeoftheozarksshootout.com. All that information is on there. You can hit contact us and to be able to add to the mailing list to get the newsletters. And so there's information on there. And then also our social media is just constantly a drive. We will have a new website after the first of the year. So we're launching that. And Christy will have a lot of content that we're pushing out. And some of the stories will be held for the release of the guide, but we are working on stories that will be released year-round in addition to the newsletter. So there's constant going to be racing profiles and information put out. So,
I think the newsletter is awesome. And is there a way to access that directly from the website, or do you just get on the mailing list?
No, it's on the website as well.
Beautiful.
If you go to it's in the news and you'll be able to see it. It comes right up. So.
And I wanted to give you a shout out. I know we're really short on time, but you guys just had your pop-up Christmas tree lot. with Tucker's. Tell us about that real quick. We just
Yeah,
have
no, it's great. So George Tucker donated a bunch of trees to be able to benefit the Lake area communities and families. And so, it's been a fun adventure this year. And so we've been able to bless families with those, and people have purchased and people have donated trees and given them back to other people in the community. So it's great. Yeah, it's fun.
Congratulations. Keep
Thank
up
you.
the great work. And make sure you guys check out lakeoftheozarks.shootout.com and on Facebook, because there'll be lots of stuff coming up. And Leah, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you. Thank you.
We'll be right back after this.
Little feet racing down the stairs, presents under the tree, and a stocking full of sweets. For the ideal holiday treats, Osage River popcorn is the best at the lake. From decadent chocolates to the sweet sting of peppermint. Our 2 premier locations have all your favorite Yuletide flavors, and you can fight off that winter chill with a steaming cup of coffee. Drive-through, of course. Osage River popcorn is the place to be for Christmas. After all, it's just not Christmas without a big tin of caramel corn to share on Christmas Eve. Osage River popcorn in Lake Ozark and the Osage Beach Outlet Mall.
All right, as we welcome you back, we'll be looking forward to more from Shootout and Lake Race. And while we have you, of course, you saw the Osage River spot, and David Ridgely and his staff, Wendy, Jen, Grace, they're all incredible. They did our Christmas gifts for us this year for our partners, our clients, our friends, and just knocked them out of the park.
They're such wonderful people over there. Every time I see him, he like forces chocolate on me.
Oh, he's a pusher.
Oh,
okay?
yeah. And I was like, I can't say no, right? It's like the best chocolate in the world. Well, you laugh at me because he offers me a little piece, and I take like a big chunk, right? I'll
Okay,
take
listen,
that home.
since you brought it up, when he came in to do an in-studio session, he brought this was last Christmas, mind you, whole bunch of samples, right? And he had this unbelievable, it's a toffee bar that they break into smaller pieces. And so he had this big old block, and he was breaking off pieces for everybody, right? So the block is here, the pieces are here, and Chris had a little piece, and he comes back to see if he can get another piece. But he grabbed the block, the entire block, and just took a bite out of it.
Nobody else is getting this, man. I'm just going to gnaw on that. That's right. It was mine, baby.
But you saw the commercial. They've obviously got the location at the Outlet Mall, which is the original Osage River popcorn, and now off of W, the incredible chocolatier and coffee shop, that Stom Coffee and Chocolate. Just phenomenal. So we wanted to thank David Ridgely and his staff at Osage River Popcorn and Stom Chocolatier, because they did a great job and always take care of us. And we told you we're headed into local headlines. So last week we said, what's going on with Lakewood condos, right? Yeah. Everyone's focused on the Oasis at Lakeport and the big bad developer and the city, helping the developer. And as we look and we dig, we've followed this over the last year as this has happened. And initially it did kind of look like, man, this developer's kind of coming in, these people being pushed out. But as we've continued to dig in, and we looked at Lake Expo's article last week, right? Nathan Bechtel did a phenomenal job of breaking that down and looking at the steps, and there had been offers from the developer to Lakewood Resort, which is those condos that sit there, still to this day. And now they're saying there's no negotiations, there's no offers. And what I found interesting is you can look at lakewoodresort.com, and it lists their board of directors. Their president is Bill Pritchard, their vice president, Ken Quantes, their secretary, Douglas Cotton, their treasurer, Flora Nemez, and then Daniel Crawford's also a board member. And they've not been responsive in email correspondence to me. They haven't seemed to communicate real openly with their deed owners, their week timeshare deed owners, which supposedly there's about 2,000 weeks that they control. And they've certainly not communicated back and forth real openly with Jeff Tegedoff, the developer with Skyview Partners, who's partnered with Fred Ross from Big Thunder, who this whole development is under. Well, as we dig a little bit, it's hard to figure out what's going on with Lakewood Resort right now. They're not speaking, and as a matter of fact, I decided, okay, well, since we saw that they're still operational and they're not going to sell out at this point in time, what is it going to take to book a night? And so I went through the resort, lakewoodresort.com, and what was interesting is, as you look here, we could start all the way in January and February, even into the summer months, March, April, May, as you've seen. They're all full. There's no bookable options here through Lakewood
They're like
Resort.
sold out?
Everything. Now, there's an exception you see here. I did look for in May, like the 24th to the 28th, which is like Tuesday through Saturday or Saturday through Tuesday of Memorial Day week. And I did find there was availability. It might be like someone that owns the deed and put it out there, but for 3 nights and 2 days, it is $3,150 with fees, which is over $1,000 a night for a 2-room resort. Wow. I looked to book on Expedia, Hotels.com, Booking, Travelocity. As you see here, same message on every one of them, Chris. Sorry, we aren't taking reservations for this property. So as I went through all these, there's no availability. Now, I was able, like I said, to find that Saturday through Tuesday in May, again, over $3,000. And even if it were because the holiday weekend, maybe their prices were bloated, but I checked other places in the area for that time period, right? Saturday through Tuesday. And when I typed in those particular dates on Priceline, that Lakewood now pops up, as you see. It's available, but like I said, for over that $3,000, $1,000 a night. But Holiday Inn Express, which is rated 2.5-star hotel, just like Lakewood Resort, I wanted to point out, $182 a night.
Wow.
About 15% the cost. Baymont by Wyndham, which is a 2.5-star hotel, $117 a night, about 12% of the price of Lakewood Resort. Margaritaville, a 3.5-star resort, $229 a night, which is about 25% the cost of Lakewood Resort. And so all these sites show initially right there, $999 a night. When you click it, again, same message, not taking reservations. So I thought, why? I reached out to Lakewood Resort. I called the number on their website and I spoke to Susan at the front desk. She was super friendly, Chris. She said, oh, we're switching our reservation system. I said, how long has that been going on, or will that be going on? She goes, I don't know. I said, well, I'm just curious if I wanted to book a room and I had a big group coming in February, why can I not find any availability futuristically? And she goes, yeah, we're just doing it over the phone. And I said, so are you guys, with all these rumors floating I'm hearing about this development, will you guys be there in the future if I want to book a room? And she goes, I would say we're taking lots of reservations, and I'm just the reservation girl, that's all I can tell you. And so they are taking reservations, and she was able to get me a full week in February, 2-bedroom, fees, taxes, everything for $1,051, which is about $135 a night.
Wow.
And so maybe they are just redoing the reservation system online, but it still doesn't answer the question as to why this board of directors, President Bill Pritchard, Vice President Ken Quantes, Secretary Douglas Cotton, Treasurer Flora Nemez, and Daniel Crawford aren't talking. They're not just talking to us. They're not negotiating with Jeff Tegetthoff and Skyview. They're not communicating with their deed owners, and they're not explaining to anyone why, if a lot of these are showing they're booked or they're full, even with reservations, why are the parking lots empty at Lakewood most of the time? I'm all ears. I'm curious as to what's going on. All I'm saying at this point in time is it's going to be harder to paint the city of Osage Beach and Skyview Partners and Jeff Tegetthoff as the bad guy until we hear from Lakewood Resort, because, I mean, when there's this much smoke going on, a lot of times there's fire, and I'm led to believe at this point in time that within Lakewood Resort, there's got to be something going on.
Yeah, and we invite the Lakewood president, the board president, to come on, talk to us. Tell us what you're doing. Tell us what's going on. Tell us your side of the story, because we want to know.
Anything.
We want to know what's going on, right? And if we're wrong to think, hey, there's a lot of smoke coming from your organization, there must be some fire going on there, let us know. Tell us what's happening so that we know what's going on, because what we see right now from the outside does not make you look very good.
I absolutely agree with that. So we'll keep an eye on that. We continue to keep in communication with all involved parties, and we'll share what we find out and what they give to us with you, our viewers. All right, next local story, I asked about it, in the big like Marvel movies and The Dark Knight Rises, when they take the evil villain and they have to transport him, there's typically some big plan, some plot to interrupt the transport vehicle and free the prisoner so he can go on to conquer the world.
Absolutely.
That's what I thought of when I saw this headline from Lake Expo. A prisoner transport vehicle locally crashes with injuries.
Yeah, apparently. So 7 people in the prisoner transport were injured in the crash on Highway 63. Where's Highway 63? I don't even know where that is.
Buffalo, I
that's
believe.
in the Buffalo area. Okay.
Yeah, Buffalo area.
So the Chevrolet Express van driven by Jeremy Falk, who is 29, northbound on Highway 63, it reportedly hit the towed unit of a 2019 Peterbilt 357 power unit, right? So this is pretty serious crash that's going on.
So he's saying like hit the back of a diesel trailer?
Kind of sounds like it, yeah. So this happens at about 1:20 in the afternoon on December the 12th. And so apparently the truck was on Highway 124, began crossing Highway 63 when they crashed into each other. Kintz was injured in the crash, drove his vehicle. He's the driver of the big truck, I think. Drove his truck from the scene. And so it talks about the 7 prisoners who were injured in this. The truck driver, minor injuries. One of the prisoners, 34-year-old, moderate injuries, minor injuries, moderate. So no serious injuries here, but interesting. Kind of brings to mind those. It's like, what was the movie I saw growing up with Harrison Ford, and he was on a transport, they got hit by a train and he's running, and stuff like that. But it is kind of from the movies, right?
Yeah, and luckily, it didn't say if they were all prisoners. I did notice that 5 had no safety devices, and so I would assume, which what assuming does most of the time, that those were the 5 that would be prisoners, and maybe the 5th or the 6th and 7th would have been working or on staff. Just interesting. And the guy who was driving crashed, and I don't know how bad the crash was. We didn't get any pictures or anything of the transport vehicle. But what an interesting headline.
And it happens in the afternoon. Usually these things happen in the dark, at night, like, remember the who was it, the sheriff deputy that apparently was inebriated and had the crash? That was about a year ago now, and stuff, middle of the night. This is right in the middle of the day.
Right, which I would think would be smart. I'd be afraid if that was your job to transport at night. Like that's when it's going to go down. Right?
Yeah,
that's when the plot thickens.
Yeah, that's when the movie gets real scary.
All right, now we can't spend a whole lot of time on our next local story, but there's a lot going on with the casinos at Lake of the Ozarks. We get asked all the time. I know it's 2 different, right? You have the Osage Nation casino, the Osage Nation tribe. They're hoping for the casino. That's been the longer ongoing. But then you have the Osage River. They've been wanting to put a riverboat gambling casino on the Osage River between here and Jefferson City. And so there's been some developments in that. First, I want to clarify they're different from each other. Osage Nation is the one that's been around for a couple of years. They've been making donations, helping the community, trying to get in everybody's good graces. But then you have the river gaming possibility. And so we saw recently that the Osage River Gaming Convention was formed. I thought it was also interesting. They came out and announced that particular group wants to partner with Bally. They've picked a location, which is one of Pruitt's locations. And so a lot going on there. But it was the Osage River Gaming Convention that got the vote of confidence, or I would say endorsement, from the Lake Ozark Board of Aldermen. And if you remember, about 5 months ago, Osage Nation did not get the endorsement.
Yeah.
They were Mayor Newberry on that day in July was the deciding no vote as the tiebreaker, which is why your mayor's there. Board of Aldermen vote. If it's in a deadlock, the mayor then votes. And that happened. So 5 months later, now the city of Lake Ozark is giving the vote of confidence, the endorsement, to the Osage River Gaming Convention.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I thought when all this kind of started heating up a couple of years ago, it seemed like the Osage Nation, the Indian casino, was way in front, right? They'd purchased the land and they were greasing the skids in the community and people liked them. And then, we did that story several months ago where Lake Ozark did not give them a vote of confidence, as you just mentioned. And now, City of Lake Ozark has given its official support to the construction of a state-regulated casino on the Osage River. So it's fascinating that this group now seems to have taken the lead. They've jumped in front to be the favorite to come in with a casino in the local area. So the City Board of Aldermen voted unanimously with this approval on Tuesday, December 12th, to approve the second reading of the resolution supporting this casino. Currently, a group of investors known as Osage River Gaming and Convention planning to construct a casino near the shores of the Osage River. Have they said exactly where on the Osage River?
Well, that part has not been developed, and it wouldn't actually have to be on the river. They'd be able to do it within so far of the shoreline on an actual piece of land. And there's a lot of legalities, there's a lot of stuff to go through. I just thought it was interesting that they came out and endorsed this one. And the reason I would say, I asked Mayor Newberry, talked with the city Board of Aldermen, and it makes sense. I mean, a private that is obviously Osage Nation, if they would not be regulated the same and not be forced to pay state and local taxes, obviously a state regulated that falls under the Commission of the Missouri Gaming Commission, that would be more prohibitable or profitable, I should say, for the area. They're going to be subject to state and federal taxes and local taxes, which is going to benefit the area. And so if you're the city of Lake Ozark and you have to pick or choose, I think that's a wise decision.
You would think they would go with that because there's going to be much more money involved. So this River Gaming Commission wants to change the state constitution to allow the casino gaming on the Osage River. Right now, according to the Missouri Constitution, I think it either has to be on the Missouri or the Mississippi River, not the Osage, so they're going to have to change that. So the group is working on a citizens initiative petition to get enough signatures to change the Constitution and get this done. They're trying to do this on the 2024 ballot.
But even if they got it on the ballot, it would still have to pass.
Yeah.
Now, every year, the bill has failed to make it to the governor's desk, and that would be the big hurdle they would need. They're hoping with this petition and these signatures, that would be more likely. But as we saw happen last year at the state level, it never got to the governor's desk and got shut down, and there was some drama surrounding it on lobbyists and legislators and what they were saying about our mayor. And I mean,
There's
that's what
always
happens
drama,
at that level.
Yeah.
And so a lot to still happen with that. But I just wanted to make sure we came out and said that is why I feel like the city would endorse one over the other, because if you have to pay taxes in our city and in our state, that's going to benefit us over a private, that does not.
And it doesn't surprise me at all that this governmental, it seems like, organization has jumped in front for many different reasons. And the main reason that, like you were talking about, there's more money involved for the locality taxes and everything that I think gives them a leg up on this.
No doubt. So as we get ready to end this week's Christmas show, we did want to say good luck to the Missouri Tigers next Friday in the Cotton Bowl against Ohio State.
Yeah, that's
Big
right.
one
Yeah.
over the Christmas break as Tiger fans
Are you
getting
going to
ready
that?
for.
You got like tickets and everything, right?
Yeah, we did get tickets, but we're just not in the cards to go.
Mr. Rich Guy over here, right?
Oh,
I mean,
that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think we're going to be giving our tickets away to somebody, but we're not able
that's
to
nice.
get out of the area that far during for that
You're
long
so
during
busy. People
the
don't
holidays.
realize how busy you are. Just.
But I will be
always
watching. I can promise you that.
Are you?
I'm rooting my Tigers on to victory. All right, so as you saw, the Chiefs, they beat the Patriots. Man,
I got disdain for the Chiefs, man. I mean, they suck. They barely beat the Patriots, and the Patriots suck, right? So, of course, I said this last year, and they won the Super Bowl. So,
Right.
What do I know? I don't know anything, but
what a weird NFL season.
Yeah, it is. And Tony, I mean, another one goes through his hands. I'm kind of surprised he's still even on the team.
It's kind of like the old adage goes, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 500 times. Shame on me, Kansas City Chiefs. It's your fault, man, at this point in time.
And
Rip your heart out.
Kelsey's getting old. I mean, he's aged like 100 years in the last year. And I blame Taylor Swift,
Don't even say what's coming next.
They suck. That's all I got to say.
Listen, still 9-5 and in control of their own destiny. They're still in first in their division. They got a Christmas Day showdown with the Raiders.
They should be able to win that. But the Raiders just killed the Chargers.
Right. So it's been a weird NFL season. Hey, congrats on Pick'em.
Oh, yeah, right. My pick'ems are terrible. Every time I need a team to win, they lose, man. Like Philadelphia last week. I would have picked up 10 points on Andy. Freaking Eagles lose, right?
Yeah, Seattle finds a way. How about Drew Lock, though? M-I-Z represent,
ZOU, baby.
Mizzou made Drew Lock, leads them down for the game-winning drive. Hey, want to give a shout-out to a couple of our local basketball teams, Chris. I've been watching some awesome games. You've been crushing it, but Eldon, the boys have started off hot. They're 8-1 on the season. They played Monday at Boonville and got the W. Friday they'll be at Mountain Grove. Hey, our Versailles Tigers continue to fly. Ryder Williams currently leads the nation in scoring at 36.7 points a game.
He never met a shot he didn't like. That's for sure.
True, but what's funny is he's also got almost 6 assists a game.
Yeah.
So he shares the ball, and those only are the stats on Max Preps. And not all coaches submit their numbers to Max Preps, but I can tell you he is certainly in the top 10 nationally at almost 37 points a game. And then Osage and Camden struggle a little bit. They played Monday on Lake TV, but I'm excited about coming up. Now, we got a little break from high school basketball on Lake TV, but we'll be back January 2nd with Lebanon and Camdenton boys, and then on the 4th, Thursday, a doubleheader with Max Creek. Those girls, 9-1.
Yeah.
Listen, they got a chance, and they're playing. That's a huge game against Walnut Grove. Walnut Grove right now, 6th in the state, Class 1. Max Creek is 5th in the state in Class 1. So those two teams will
that's gonna be
square
good.
off. All right, listen, we got to let you go for this week. Thank you so much for being with us on this week's show. We wanted to give a shout out to Jill Ray, Daryl Cunningham, and the entire staff here at Slumberland. Until next week, my friends, Merry Christmas and may God bless you.